One, this is a new audio and new video. I'm going to label this as Intro to Creating Functions. All programming languages, I'm assuming, have functions. What is a function? This is a JavaScript console, as I mentioned in my previous videos. Just going to clear everything here. So a function, just to make it very simple for you guys, is similar to a calculator. Let's go to the computer and I'm going to type in calculator. It's not the actual calculator, it's the buttons on it. So the multiplication button is a function, plus is a function, minus is a function. And what the function does is that if I press 6 minus 6 gives me 0, obviously. If I press 89 times 10, it's going to give me 890. 8 times 10, 80. Okay, so essentially what a function is that it allows you to programmatically tell the computer to do a certain number of tasks and assign those tasks to a name. So instead of saying like add one number to the other number, as a very simple example, like 2 plus 2, it's a pre-built-in function giving you 4, you could say something way more complicated that, like for example, get the user to give you an input. For example, very complicated example, let's say you're playing the lottery and it's a 3-number lottery and the user input is 789, and you take the user input and it checks that input inside the function, and the function can be called something like see if the numbers are winning and respond whether they're winning or not. So similar to how you scan your lottery tickets in whatever state you're in to see if you won, the program in that machine is basically running a function. So we're gonna just dive right into it, put a very simple example. So the syntax for a function in JavaScript is you start with var, any name that you want to assign to your function. So right now I'm just gonna put, very generally, not to confuse you, name of function equals function, and this over here in the open close parentheses section is where you pass an argument. So the argument later on is going to be similar to like the buttons on the calculator. So I'm gonna put here right now, just like, let's make this bigger, A space B. You could go D, C, D, you could go like infinite arguments. So I'm just gonna put 2 arguments for now, and then you do open close squiggly line, and this is the syntax. So this is just the syntax of every function on how to create a function. Inside these squiggly lines over here, this is where the instruction goes. So I can say something here like console.log a plus b, right? Or let's make it a little bit more complicated. I'll say a times b, right? And later on, when I run name of function, open close parentheses, any 2 numbers, those 2 numbers which are part of this argument list are going to be passed through here, and the console will log or output a times b. So let's see what happens. I'm pressing enter. We just created a function. If I put name of function now, it's going to say function. So it says you created a function. But if I put name of function, and then I do open close, and I'll put 2 numbers in here. Let's say I put 10 and 5. So guess what's going to happen? It's going to take the 10 right here and the 5, pass it through to console.log a times b really quickly, and output 50. So that's the most basic example of a function. Let's do a function. I'm going to move this up because the bottom of the screen seems to be interfering with our recording. So let's do something a little bit more complicated, and then later, after you get really good with functions, you can start passing if statements into your function. You can start doing really, really complicated things with a function. the other day I was solving a Code Wars problem, and basically it was basically like a very, very small intro to artificial intelligence. It gave us this little problem here. It said that they're going to give us a series of numbers inside of an array, and if A is 0 or B is 0, then you return exactly AB, otherwise go to step 2, and then it asks a bunch of questions, parameters, and it says if these parameters hold, then change values, and if they don't hold, go to a different step. So it was like this long maze, and the code turned out to be like a very, 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 very simple version of a computer that could basically follow complex instructions, and based on those instructions and based on the results, take different paths, which is what I find to be really, really, really cool. So let's go create a slightly more complicated function now. So we're gonna say there min age equals function a open close. So this is the basic syntax, you could call it, to create a function. So min age is the new function. We're only passing one argument, and you could imagine that this function is like for an ID scanner or for an amusement park, and you're trying to see if the person is a certain age or not, to see if they can enter. So we can start an if statement and say if open close a, which is what they're going to pass as the age, they're going to put min age open close parentheses with the age. So the a is the variable that we're just assigning as the age. This could actually be anything. This could be x, for example. It can't be a keyword, but it could be pretty much anything. We can even call it age if we want, you know? So it doesn't really matter. So we could say if age is greater than 18, so when you start an if statement, you put the condition inside parentheses, and you put what they should do based on if the if statement is true. So if this is true, do what's in the squiggly lines. Console.log you may enter. And then we're going to do an else now. So you're learning an if-else statement, which is very simple. And if we have bugs, we'll go back and fix it. So I'm just trying to make sure I didn't put any extra parentheses. So this bracket corresponds to this bracket here, this squiggly line, and this squiggly line corresponds to this squiggly line. So now I'm going to put my else statement here. Else console.log sorry, not old enough. Okay, let's see if that worked. So min age, okay, it's a function. We created a function. And now I'm going to do min age, and I'm going to put the number 3 in there. It says sorry, not old enough. And now I'm going to try with 99. It says you may enter. So there is here what you're seeing is the most basic idea of what a function is. These buttons here in this calculator are functions. We can actually create any of these. You can create any of these yourself. Later when I do a video on jQuery, hopefully I can show you how to actually create this entire calculator right here using jQuery and some front-end HTML, CSS. It doesn't really take that much coding skills to create this. If you're new to coding and this stuff just seems foreign and I lost you, feel free to ask me questions in the comments. Feel free to reach out to me and email me. I'm actually very happy to teach. I'm very happy to break things down to the most simple steps possible. What I really enjoy about this whole process of going on the Code Wars website and solving problems is actually thinking very linearly, thinking very on a deconstructive approach of basically taking the problem, putting it into words, and just having this meta thought of like, what am I thinking? Why am I thinking it? And it sort of slows down your brain and puts you in a very meditative mindset. I find that to be true of coding, for chess, a lot of brain exercises, puzzles, trying to think. Yeah, so I think I'll stop the video here. In my next video, I'll show you some more complex functions. This was a good intro, and I hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time.